So Morgan, I don't have it on the agenda tonight, and I'll get more direct information pretty soon, and so we'll talk about it at the next meeting. So the next meeting will be Zoom, and then from there we'll decide, or you'll decide.
Good evening.
Bob?
How are you, Sarah? Hey, Jeff. Hi, Morgan. Hi, Jerry.
Aye.
Oh, it's cloudy behind you, Sarah.
I know, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, well, it's nice after that heat, you know, at least the clouds have kind of cooled things off a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I'll take the clouds because it was pretty darn hot last.
Oh my gosh, and the humidity was 0 or, you know, not much. It had a lot of plants were getting zapped. Are we waiting for someone?
Nope. I don't know. I think you should be able to see the agenda. So whenever you're ready to start, everyone is here.
I'm in a meeting. What's going on? That's not our problem. Don't worry about it. We don't care if they record it or not. We got the money. What do we care? So are we ready to go then?
I believe we are.
Okay. And so we're going to call to order the meeting of the Indio Sustainability Commission of June 22nd, 2021. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Tack, do you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So now, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Chair Patterson?
Here.
Vice Chair David?
Present.
Commissioner Tack?
Present.
Commissioner Benson?
Present.
So we have everyone present. We've got a quorum. Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
So approval of the minutes is the next item on the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented.
With a second?
I will second.
We're going to do a voice vote.
Sure. Chair Patterson?
Yes.
Vice Chair David?
Yes.
Commissioner Tack?
Yes.
Commissioner Benson?
Staying since I wasn't there.
Oh, right. Okay, the minutes pass.
All right. Number 6 on the agenda is sustainability plan and annual work plan draft.
All right. There's only 2 things that I really have for this portion of the agenda. The sustainability plan that I presented last month has not been updated or it's been updated with the things we talked about, but there aren't too many new things that are added to it. So there aren't a whole lot of changes to it. It's definitely, we'll consider it on a fiscal year as we talked about, and I did some changes to the wording of some of the things that we added during the meeting. But if you have any comments on the sustainability plan, it's basically more or less the same, but let me know. And it is, of course, attached to the agenda because this is also a time for anyone to be able to take a look at it, make comments on it as well. The other thing is that the City Council will be considering unfunded one-time projects next month. And so they've asked for a list of projects. So if there's anything in the plan that is unfunded that you think we should throw into that mix for consideration, I'd like to get your feedback on what projects you might want to submit to the City Council for that.
Did you have any in mind, Sarah?
No.
Okay.
I can pull it up. Let's go ahead and pull it up really quick. I think one of the things that I liked was the tree program. I maybe just because it's so hot right now that shade just sounds so nice, and that might be why it's on my mind. But I did consider that one. I mean, we can just go. Let's just go through the plan. Start with so for the clean energy. So the possibility of doing solar outreach is one of them. Clean energy, and then low greenhouse gas environment. Weatherization programs, perhaps, be a good one. Here's the tree program. That's low, and then the zero waste. We have a few projects here. Most of our waste projects probably have funding, so I'm not gonna. Garbage disposal rebates, that might be a little iffy.
Yeah.
We might need funding for that. And then there's water.
I'd like to see the hot water recycling rebate happen.
Hey, you know what? That's a good one. And that's in water. That's why I switched over it. Got it. Okay.
Hot water. Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
recirculating pump that Commissioner Benson had brought up before. That's a great one.
And I know we had the water fountains, and it was something that we had money for to do some. Is this something we can kind of expand the water fountains with this money that you're talking about, or is that you're only looking for things that are completely unfunded?
The bottle fillers?
Yes.
We have funding now for it. The last thing that I looked into, I know Parks is considering a few places where they might put some more. We've got one for the teen center, and I asked about the golf course, and they're still considering it. Apparently they used to have a water fountain out there, but though they're not sure where the water line is now, so it's kind of on hold until I hear back from them. As far as that, I don't think we have any other plans right now. We will be, or I hope to be working on the map of bike lanes and golf cart lanes and alternative roadways throughout the city that we talked about last meeting, I believe. And I'd like to look at that map and consider if there's any water lines IWA has near those routes, so that maybe we have some bottle fillers along the biking routes, are able to put them on the map. But I won't know, that'll be pretty far down the stage of creating that map. But that's another option.
Because the reason I ask
But
is
not-
if we can maybe expand it with the idea of putting bottle fillers on the proposed CV Link portion, since people will be riding bikes along there, running along there, golf carts along there, it's something that can help people use the CV Link once it gets built.
You know what? We can purchase the bottle fillers, and we have funding for that. What we don't have funding for is running a water line, which I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be any near the pathway that the CV Link is on. But maybe that's something that we can ask for the one-time funding for. That we can put those up if we can get the funding to actually have water lines put out to where we need them. So that's two projects, I think, really good projects we could throw into the mix.
Those are my
I
suggestions.
think we'll just do, for the first one, we'll do rebates, and we'll throw in both the recirculating pumps and see what they say about the waste for the garbage disposal ones, just rebates in general, and maybe put them in one or two. And then also, we'll see if we can run lines out to CV Link, since we already know that bike trail is or will exist in there. So those are two projects. So line and bottle fillers. Those are great ideas. Okay, if those or those are it, then we'll go on to clean energy and low greenhouse gas environment. The rest of the agenda is basically the plan. So we'll follow through the plan to the legislative updates. So I don't have anything new under the work plan for clean energy. So the annual work plan, haven't made any progress on that. I haven't heard back from the last company that wanted to talk to us about alternative energy sources. So as soon as I do, I'll get them scheduled for the meeting. The low greenhouse and gas environment, I don't have any updates for that right now. And then the zero waste, there's a couple of things for that. So for providing indoor waste recycling and organics containers to businesses, we do have a consultant that's going out talking to businesses and educating them on what's coming up. And I just wanted to let you all know that basically these are what we're offering. It's all for indoor and kind of behind the counter areas. So just small and medium office containers, the Slim Jims for organics or recycling if there's not very much room, and then the larger containers. And we have been giving them out. Here's just a basic list so far of people that the consultant has talked to and asked for the bins. So it is a program that's working and important. So we're moving along on that part of our work plan, and we'll continue to do that. develop the outreach for SB 1383. I did wanted to talk to you about this. We are getting ready to start that. And I just wanted to get some ideas from you all about what you might like to see in that outreach. Like commercials are good, radio, all of it. We have a fair amount of money, and I'd like to kind of just brainstorm a bit on what you would like to see. And then, you know, if we have to scale it back due to funding, then we will. But if you have
Sarah,
any
can you
ideas,
tell me what I'm sorry for interrupting, but you said SB 1383 and it says short-lived climate pollutants. So what is this funding we have? What is it for?
yeah, I'm sorry about that. So the mandate for 1383 is the organics mandate, so that commercial businesses, residents, everyone will need to divert organics out of the landfill, basically.
So that
And
has
if
to do
you-
with green waste and food waste then?
Exactly. The thing about 1383 is that it requires the city to create an ordinance and enforce it. So instead of, right now, we're working under the assumption with our commercial facilities that if they fall under this need to divert green waste, that they need to sign up for services, and we're educating them about that. And we're getting as many on board as we can. But for 1383, which goes live in January, we will have to have an ordinance, and everyone will automatically have to have that service, whether they sign up for it or not. There's a lot of outreach that should go along with it. There's also issues about contamination. In 1383, we or someone else, the waste hauler or a consultant, will have to actually go through a certain amount of bins that are representative of a certain area, and if there's too much contamination, we'll have to work on reducing that, and if they don't reduce it, then there will be fines for that as well. So there's really critical outreach that's going to be necessary for 1383.
So don't we already, I mean, my residents, we have a green waste. Don't we already have everyone in the city using or diverting organics? Is there a gap there or something?
Yeah, not necessarily organics. Everyone certainly has a green bin. That's for the residents. They pay one price, and that has the 3 bins: recycle, and trash, and green waste. We're going to start asking folks to put food waste in their green bin, and right now it looks like we're going to be asking them to put it in plastic bags and put it in the green waste, because when it gets to the compost facility, it has to be mixed in a specific ratio, so it can't be mixed in the green bins. That's where we're at with that.
Okay, so we need to educate people on separating the food
What-
waste from the green waste. Is that sort of the goal that we have in mind?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. But the other part is that, like, most people aren't putting food waste in their green bin at all right now. Most
Right.
of it is just, right? So that's the first step, really, is
When does that
now we're
start?
going to
When do
open
we
up the
start
green
doing
bin to
that?
this whole other, sorry, what?
When do we start putting the food in the green waste container? When is that supposed to start?
It comes live January 1st, 2021.
Oh, so it's already in effect.
Well, I'm sorry, 2022. But
Okay,
it's not enforced after that. I mean, we have basically 2 years to really get it
right.
rolling before
But we
we're,
need to start an education campaign probably in the fall, getting people adjusted to this idea.
exactly.
And then there's money for it under this SB 1383.
Yes and no. I mean, it's waste diversion. So we have AB 939 funds that we will use for this. When CalRecycle did this, they did allow in their legislation to allow cities to, we could, if we needed to, pass another I don't know if it's a resolution, I believe it's a resolution to be able to collect funding to be able to help support what we have to do for 1383, because it's a lot. But for right now, the AB 939 funds will cover most of it, because it's still generally waste diversion. So we're within the reasonable things that we can do outreach for that we would normally do for waste diversion in general. We
Oh,
do have funding, yes.
so would like a billboard be appropriate? I mean, that would seem to be a good way.
You know, that's kind of what I want to hear from you guys on what you think. I mean, we're all residents, right? I mean, how do you feel like, what do you think would be one good media? Billboards, commercials, radio, I mean, which of these or anything else do you feel like would get the message out the best? Have any thoughts on that?
If I may, I have an idea. So to work with Vertec and to create stickers that go on top of the lids of each 3 bins that specify, kind of like with the notice you kind of put together with Vertec of the instructions, and they have with their little pamphlet they send out, but to put a sticker on top of each bin of what exactly goes in each bin. So every new bin that goes out will have this bright, well-printed, conspicuous, large font with the lists of stuff, and the green bins would have, you know, yard waste and all the stuff there, and added a section of in plastic bag, household food waste being, you know, listing that stuff there, and then possibly working with Vertec to replace bins. When bins get replaced that are damaged, the new ones come out with the sticker on it, and then maybe work with them to then put stickers on every bin that's still out in the city, because everyone looks at their bins, everyone goes to their bins on a regular basis, so it's right there and you see it every day and you see the list. Hopefully that might make people think, oh, hey, I'm about to put these apple cores in my brown bin, but I can put them in a plastic bag in my green bin because it says here on top of my green bin, that's what I do now. And then eventually people will figure it out. And it's not like you put 1 billboard, 2 billboards, not everyone's going to see that, but everyone's going to see their bins. Does that make sense?
I agree. I think that's
Okay.
a good idea. And, you know, replacing the old bins, I know my green bin, the lid came off of it and they haven't replaced it, but it should probably have a lid, I think.
Yeah, tell
And
them they'll come out and replace it.
yeah, I probably should. And so when they replace them, like Morgan said, they could put a sticker on there, and then they could have the truck that collects the green waste also put a sticker on existing cans. You'd have to like clean the top of the can so the sticker would stick, right? Because there's probably dust and so forth on top there. But he could carry, you know, a bottle of Windex and a wet towel and just rub it down. And, you know, it's so hot and dry out here, it'll dry up immediately, and he could slap the sticker on there. The sticker doesn't even have to last forever because, you know, it's going to get people's attention pretty quickly that, you know, you need to start putting your food waste in here too.
And even a high-end sticker is fairly cheap, especially when you buy more of them. So, because I do that stuff with my business, that the more you buy, the cheaper it is, and it's something that, you know, it can be done in stages. Like I said, you can do it with the new bins that go out. So when they replace a bin, it goes out, and then any new bins that come in, or any old bins that come in that get replaced, you know, then they'll go and get done, and then you can, like Robert said, you can have the guy in the truck, or even at one point when you get to that 3rd phase of doing the existing bins, they can have a truck, you know, a pickup truck drive behind the hauler and somebody in the pickup truck can do what Robert suggested, which is you clean the top off and slap on the new sticker.
I think that stickers on the waistbands are going to be critical, so I will work with Vertec and bring back some artwork and
And then you could have a website listing for people that we could mail. They could mail stickers to the homes. You could fill out an application and you could get it, because I'm not sure that, and then you're gonna have multiple family dwellings, apartments that'll have dumpsters that don't have these containers. So that's gonna be an issue on how Vertec's gonna separate those facilities.
Well, I think that's,
yeah, commercial is going to be different, and I think I'm pretty sure that since most multifamily housing units have the commercial bins, they're probably going to fall under the commercial where you need to subscribe to a completely separate and additional service and have a completely different bin.
Yeah,
when you can follow up on with this, instead of mailing stickers out to people, because I think you might run into an issue when you mail someone a sticker, they're going to put it in the wrong, might put it in the wrong bin. They might put it in the wrong spot on a bin. They might just forget about it. But if you have Vertec do it on whichever pickup day, then you know it gets done, and it's done with the same spot, done properly with the sticker. But you can still take that artwork and you can follow up with a continuous social media, Nextdoor, Facebook. You can be part of the mailing, make it into a card, a postcard, and mail it to every home and every residence, and follow up that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. If you mail, I know if I got some sticker in the mail, well, no, some people might just throw it in the trash, right? I mean,
well, but if they requested it on a website,
yeah, but who's looking for stickers for their trash can on a website? I mean, who really,
Big
you
sticker,
know,
right?
surfs the internet looking for trash stickers? I mean, it's
The thing too,
limited
you have to
audience.
remember, this is going to be probably a 12-inch by 12-inch at least sticker, right? So you run the risk of Joe homeowner, and I'm looping myself in this. They might not put it on correctly either, right? There'll be folds and creases, but if you have
Well,
somebody, you know,
if you want it on the lid, then the artwork could be the shape of a lid,
right, and so
and
you
it would
have
see
done,
place here.
but it's going to be a big enough thing to have all the information on it, so you want it put on correctly. And I think you run the risk of the very least it gets put on incorrectly on top of the bin lid if you have John Q. Public do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Vertec needs to do it. Relying on people to put the stickers on is not as effective.
Okay. I agree, the stickers are really important. We'll do the artwork. I'm sure it'll have to be fairly sizable to make the information really easy to read, so we'll get that going. And social media, for sure. I think those are great too. I'll see if I can start working with some outreach folks and getting some social media posts at least ready to go so that we're time to start doing this. So we'll start rolling it out.
Yeah, those seems like the best methods to me. I don't know that like a radio spot, you know, is going to be a good explanation. I think it definitely needs to be something visual. So yeah, I think that's the right direction.
I can one thing I add too, if there's radio and TV becomes a thing, and this is something there because everything is so valley oriented, that this might be something for all the different city councils to pitch in together, right? Not just have, you know.
Yeah, is it being rolled out in the other cities at the same time, Sarah?
It sure is. And we have been working with CVAG to see if we can pull something together, and we may do that, at least to some extent. It doesn't mean that we won't do some of the things, like our own part here. But with the regulation coming pretty quickly, I want to be sure that we're where we need to be in CalRecycle's eyes, no matter what happens or how long it takes to get anything else together. It's going to be good if we have something going on. Hopefully through CVAG, all the cities will be able to come together and do something more universal. But in the meantime, it's fine for us. In fact, we should get started and make sure we've got some boxes checked when CalRecycle comes to see how we're getting along with the new regulations. Okay, so that will definitely get us started. That's fantastic. All right. So, actually, back to that. The sustainability collection events are scheduled for the fall, and then for the circular economy, we did talk about getting started through mapping, repair, and reuse facilities, and so far this is what we have. There's 4 donation stations, 4 recycling centers, and there's quite a few electronics repair area shops. So I guess we'll move forward with kind of working this into a website, kind of mapping it out, letting people know that, you know, these options exist if you have certain materials that don't need to go to the landfill yet.
So is the idea that this would go on a sticker, or where would this go?
No, this will go on our website.
Oh. Yeah, that's interesting to know, because I know personally I have a stack of like old electronics equipment in my garage, and every time I walk by the door I look at it, and it's probably been accumulating for 10 years or so. And honestly, when I'm at home on the weekend, I work during the week, I'm not getting on the City of India's website and looking for resources of how to recycle garbage and things. I'm usually enjoying time with my family, or going out and doing something. Looking at the resources on the City of India website is not real high up on my list of things to do on my weekend. And so, I mean, it's obviously an important resource and you have to have it, and it's going to get some traffic, but it's fairly limited in its audience, I would think.
Yes, and that's true. What that came out of was to basically start looking into how do we build this, or begin to build this circular economy. And one of the things, the list was created because it was a first step in figuring out what kind of infrastructure we have. So maybe instead of putting it on the website, we can look at it in the way of, what do we need? We have a lot of electronics repair shops, but what might be some other options?
So these repair shops accept like e-waste? Is that why they're on here? Or is that to advertise that they do repairs?
This is just a list of repair shops that are in India, and they're all electronic. They can do
repairs, not that they take e-waste. Well, again, I mean, what if you just turned that into a sticker and slapped it on the side of the gray trash can? And that way, a guy like me who only thinks about this issue once a week when I'm walking out to the trash would say, it would be right there in front of me. I couldn't avoid it. And I could see the addresses, and then it might actually inspire me to get that pile of junk and throw it in my car and drive to one of these places.
All right, maybe a sticker for this. When we do the annual brochure, maybe we could make this a page in the brochure as well. although that's not gonna help you, again, with the once a week, for sure.
Yeah.
But we can at least
Well,
put it in the
honestly, I don't
brochure
read the brochure. You know, I'm not hanging, tonight when I go home from work, I'm not gonna get out the brochure and look at it. I mean, it's an important resource.
Yes, we have to have it for people that do go looking for it.
It has to be there, but I'm just saying it's fairly limited in the audience that it reaches. And with the bins, you have a captive audience, and you have Burtech right there who could help us, utilize the captive audience.
The items that
Oh,
you're.
I mean, I can look into stickers, for sure. Right? I mean, I can ask.
If I may, these aren't necessarily items that people are going to throw into their bins, right? We're talking about clothing, electronics, metal, so this might be something that we could either have as part of a periodic mailer to people's homes, once a year, kind of like what Burtech does with their little information book that details services they offer with their phone number for pickup and stuff like that. But maybe, I don't know how it works, but I remember, it's been a while since I moved, but I remember doing a change of address form through the US Post Office. You would get a packet of different things from the post office about neighborhood services, with regards to moving things like storage and things like, I can't remember what it was, it's been so long, but maybe this could be something, if the post office is still doing that, to work with them. So if somebody is moving into Indio, they get a packet, and part of that packet is a card with, information on the Indio's circular recycling efforts. Does that make sense?
Well, our level of communication on a once a month basis is Indio Water sending a bill.
There you go. So something like that.
That's another
Okay.
good way to do it.
So a flyer inside the Indio water bill apartment bill gets them 12 times a year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because people have to open that. They can't avoid it.
Great idea.
And it can
Right,
be
all right,
part
I
of
made
it,
a note.
and it can be part of the new sign up package that they get when they sign up for water service or transfer. So that may be a possibility, but it's a 12 times a year contact or an outreach.
That would be really good for 1383 too, maybe.
Yes.
There. Okay. All right, we will work on that. Great ideas. Okay, that's all for the waste that I have, and that's great feedback. That's really helpful. And then water, this obviously isn't filled in yet, but I did want to let you know that the Water Authority, at the last City Council meeting, I'm sure, Commissioner Benson, you would have seen as well that the state requires that water utilities have to have an urban water management plan. That basically, it's a long-term plan that says, this is how much water I have, this is how much water I'll need, and this is how I'm going to make sure I'm going to have it. And this year, and that's always happened with the water agencies here in the valley, because they have to do it. But this year they did a regional one, so that it's actually valley-wide, and all the water companies, CVWD, Desert Water, Mission Springs Water Agency, all of them, Coachella, are all basically using the same calculations and are in agreement on the same terms of the water management plan. And that's really great, because we all basically pull from the same aquifer. It also has a water shortage contingency plan, and since it's regional, then that means that everybody will be more or less on the same plan. So it won't be this water, IWA doing one thing, CVWD doing something else. Everybody will kind of come on board at the same time if it's needed to address drought or a shortage.
Okay, so
Right,
where are we
yeah.
now on the, okay, go ahead.
I didn't have anything for 11, which is sustainable environment, land use, and transportation. So that one's done.
Okay. Legislative updates?
Yeah, actually I do. So the legislative updates, a year ago, there was a legislation that created the statewide recycling commission that was created to recommend recycling policy to CalRecycle and other lawmakers. And, you know, I was I'm lucky enough to get appointed to that commission, and we were basically given 6 months at first to create the policy recommendations, but they extended it to a year. But we also understood that 6 months would have made it like last January, and that's when the legislative session started. So we did about 18 policy recommendations that were kind of quick, as best we could, to get something out there and get things rolling in the legislature. And then we took the next 6 months until now to finish the report and to take that time also to really go through some of the policy recommendations that wouldn't be so simple. And so we finished it, and unfortunately the final PDF clean version is not ready yet, but it is done. But everyone on there is a volunteer, and we're just doing the best we can to get it finalized. But the policies that we're recommending at this point are they're not they aren't the easy things that we had tried to get done the first 6 months. So we're actually recommending things like having a statewide recycle list and the criteria that would be needed to call something recyclable, so that if it has and labeling, we have a separate labeling policy recommendation, so that if it's not getting recycled, if it does not actually get turned into a new recycled material, that it can no longer be labeled recyclable. And we also did some policies, kind of focus as much as we could on the hierarchy of waste management. So we didn't just put policies out there for recycling. We also did a lot of policies like textile recycling and things that would basically reduce waste to begin with. That should be out in, well, next week. By next week, it's due July 1st. So it'll be, the final PDF will be out next week. I'll send that all out to you as soon as it's done. And it is, I think, worth noting also that there were 17 of us on this commission, and we were from all kinds of NGOs, municipal water, haulers, processors, and all of the policies that are in the report were all consensus policies, 17-0. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you and hopefully seeing how that gets traction. The first 18 policies we did in January, there are about 9 policies that actually hit the legislature that were similar to what we recommended. I mean, they weren't exactly a lot of them, but there were enough in it that we could say, you know, this is kind of what we were saying. And there were 9 actual pieces of legislation that we could say that about our first 18 policies. So, again, I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. And that's all I have for legislative updates.
Any commissioner comments?
None from me.
None for me.
I'm good, thank you.
Staff comments?
Just a reminder, as we talked about at the beginning of or maybe before we started the meeting, that the next commission will be on Zoom for sure. By September, we're going to need to be back in the city council chambers, but we'll talk next month about if you want to go back earlier. That will be up to you all.
Sarah, are we going to offer an option to use the Zoom for people who can't make it, or are we just gonna go back to the way things were before?
It will be the way things were before, which doesn't mean that you can't call in or be remote, but you have to be, let me get the exact information from the attorneys, but I'm pretty sure that you have to be in a public place where someone else can actually come
Right.
in your home. You have to be in an area, and we have to put on the agenda, I think, where you're going to be, so it has to be noted. And
Yeah,
as long as we do those things and follow those procedures, then yes.
yeah,
It will be
which
as
makes
simple as-
it so inconvenient that it's rarely used. But, yeah, I mean, Zoom has been a really great resource, I thought, and, but we've been using it, I guess, under some temporary authority. So I guess in the future, we'd have to go back to that method that you were talking about where the location is stated on the agenda and, the person has to be in a public place and, that I don't think that gets used that often because it's not, very easy to use, obviously, if it requires a lot of planning in advance and everything.
That's all I have.
Okay, well, do we have a motion to adjourn then?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
So we got a second, and so all in favor, let's adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.